And I want you to meet another one of my best friends. How many of you know Dillon Bracken? So Dillon is an astute real estate investor in Puerto Rico, and he also in Vegas. He actually followed us from Vegas to Puerto Rico, he and his wife, Venza. And he's one of my dearest friends. I don't know a single person in the entire world that has a bigger heart than Dillon. Literally, like I get choked up when I talk about Dillon because he's just my best amigo. I mean, I'll just give you one example. So I was in the middle of a real estate deal that kind of creeped up on me, and I needed $1 million in cash within about 48 hours, or I was going to lose a property. And Dillon did so much work on the weeks leading up to this. In the last 48 hours, how many of you know Brock Pierce? Dillon got Brock to give me $1 million on a handshake. I mean, he's just my greatest friend. He's an amazing guy. But anyways, let's talk about real estate and what have you. So Dillon has the largest Airbnb in Condado. I think it sleeps like 47. No, I think it's like 40. And the most beautiful place I've ever seen in Old San Juan. I hope you get a chance to check it out if you're visiting Puerto Rico or if you live in Puerto Rico. Anyways, one of the brightest real estate minds I've ever met. Please welcome my great friend, Dillon Bracken. Love you, man.
Feelings mutual.
Love you, my man.
Daven.
Yep.
Wow. Is everybody having fun? Wow. Ooh. These lights are bright. You guys weren't lying when you were saying that. Okay, cool. How do I start this thing? I press that button, probably.
We're having a little problem with your presentation, so why don't you go and chat for a second? We're going to work on it.
Okay. So, well, today we're going to talk about the Purge. In Airbnb, and my business, we're Paragon Properties. We do luxury vacation rentals. There's like 10 of me right now. That's pretty cool. There is something that's happening this year. There are changes that are happening in Airbnb, and I'm calling it the Great Host Purge of 2025. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about my company, Paragon Properties. We've had a couple of cool benchmarks. We hit a peak of $30 million of assets under management. We've gotten permits that everybody said were impossible. We couldn't get them, and fortunately we did. And on one property, our record income on this one, Villa Bohemia, which is right in Condado. It's a gated estate. That's the first one Daven was mentioning. We've done $100,000 in one single month on that property, which is, ooh, yeah. So last year I came and we talked about the math behind going from $1 million in real estate to $300 million in real estate, and how that works. And this year we're gonna talk about basically the opposite. We're gonna be talking about how to hold on. And make no mistake, Paragon Properties, we've been making more money than ever. That being said, it is incredibly important that people understand the changes that are happening in the market cycle, and specifically with Airbnb. So I'd like to know, and hopefully maybe I can see you guys. Oh, there we go. I can see you guys a little bit now. Who's in Airbnb? All right. Oh, we've got maybe 10%. Really, only 10% of people? There's no more people in Airbnb? How about who wants to be in Airbnb? All right. A couple more people. Somebody earlier said, who's not going to raise their hand no matter what I say? I like that one. But we're going to talk about the threats, the existential threats to your Airbnb or property empire that are happening because of Airbnb. We're thrust right now into a tug of war between the guests and the hosts, one that we did not ask for. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges. We're going to talk about some of the solutions, some good solutions, some necessary solutions, but also the silver bullet ultimate solutions, where we're going to talk about at the end. And why this is happening. Why are there these changes? I'm going to tell you guys a story. Have anybody heard of a party happening in an Airbnb property? Yeah. Anybody had some of those parties? I'm actually worse than most of my guests, I think, when I'm at my properties. So I had this, you gotta have really strong SOPs. You gotta know everything that could possibly happen. You have to prepare for this. You have to train your team so that they know how to handle every possible thing. Got to have cameras. Got to have noise-aware devices. You got to have devices that read the decibels, so that you have data and defensible information. But I had a frat party last year. They show up. 30 frat boys use their parents' profile to book my property. And they're like jumping off the roofs into the pool. I show up with my security team, which is usually used to be our SOP, used to be the protocol. You show up with the security team and you can kick them out if they're breaking all the house rules, which I think there was like none that they didn't break. Like literally, I'm like talking to the main dude, and he's putting his cigarette out against my house while talking to me. And then he was so drunk, and then he was like surprised that I was not happy about that. So I was like, so I kicked them out. But did Airbnb have my back this time? No, they didn't. They didn't have my back this time. I couldn't believe it. It was messed up. They gave the guests $8,000 back. That was how much they paid to be in my place, and they gave them the $8,000 back, and they delisted my listing. Yeah. Has anybody heard about this happening recently? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of, like, basically, it's almost as many hands as the people that are doing Airbnb. It's messed up, and there's other challenges too, and these are all feeding into one central thing. Friendly fraud, I've been seeing this happen. I had a guy, he comes, books the property, $5,000, stays the weekend. At the end of the weekend, he says, "It wasn't me." It was him. This is crazy. This is crazy. This guy, I had our SOPs that we had a contract with his signature on it. The signature matched his ID, which we had. The picture on the ID matches the cameras that we had. And still, he says it wasn't me. This was not Airbnb, this one. This was Booking.com, and Stripe was the merchant processor. I'm hearing some groans there. Yeah, Stripe had a policy of, just give him all his money back, no questions asked. And so actually the solution to this one, this is very important. Curtis and Courtney, are you guys here? Oh, they might not be here. Well, we're gonna be, oh, they are? Okay, yeah, these guys, Operation Capital, they'll help you get capital, but they also are smarter than every merchant processor I've ever heard of. They're not merchant processors, but they're really good advisors. And so, we'll be doing a thing after right up here at the SIP Lounge, and they're going to be there, and then we're going to go after that. Some of us are going to go up to their rock star room, which is really cool. It's amazing. They don't shrink, and it's got an unlimited bar thing that they just keep on replenishing. So anyway, let's move on. Extortion. Extortion used to be this thing that people didn't do so much, and now with everybody having review platforms and whatnot, it's crazy. It's commonplace now. This is how business goes, and Airbnb is not stopping this from happening as much as they should. The reviews, repairs and power failures, things like this. I mean, somebody is borrowing your house. Sometimes houses have things that break. That's your fault though now. That's totally your fault. And you need to have, the solution here actually, is having a discount prevention team. That's what I call my operations team. And so that the slightest thing that something is wrong, I have my guys rush over there and solve it before they can really have it as an excuse to try to get money out of me. Amex, not your friend. Amex is great if you're the buyer, but not if you're the seller. So watch out. Even I've had Airbnb. Someone paid Airbnb for the Airbnb with Amex, and they overturned Airbnb's decision on something to get money back. It's crazy. The algorithm. Has anybody heard about dead listings? Okay, maybe a couple people. So if you have an Airbnb, the algorithm will do something where they just put you down on the fifth page instead of the first page, and you need to be vigilant, and you need to be able to see this. You need to be able to see if you are not being listed. They're going to shuffle you down to the bottom and see if you notice. And if you want to fix that, what you do is you have a buddy with a different IP address go and maybe click it once and see if it wakes it back up. I learned that from Jerry Conti. I think he's here. I learned a lot from Jerry Conti. I don't know if he's speaking, but he's amazing. All right, so here's a couple really important quotes from Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb. This is going to give us a hint of what's really going on here. He says, it's important that you are not charged owner's fees when you come to Airbnb. In that interview, he goes on to say that he doesn't want the guests to pay for the cleaning fees. He wants the host to pay for them. By the way, that's like 15% of your gross income. Your top line income, 15% of that is cleaning. So your bottom line revenue, if you're running at like a 50% expense ratio, that's 30%. That's 30% of your money. And if you have debt service, then you're screwed. We want prices to move and be more competitive vis-a-vis hotels. That is really important. These are signals that he's giving to his stock, to his shareholders. This is something that's happening. We're going to talk more about this in a second, why he's saying these things. But for bad pricing, and they'll modulate your pricing down. Okay, I've got 5 minutes, so I'm going to race through this part. Demand pacing is something where if you're having, let's just say, a 50% occupancy, you can put in a mandatory discount, and if it's more, then you can modulate it so it automatically helps fix dead listings. This is through Guesty for Pros. This is for Guesty for Pros, and it's called demand pacing. So write that down if you're an Airbnb. But there's an increasingly aggressive security and safety team that is delisting people. And I just had something where somebody didn't use our safe. They had somebody unfortunately came into the property, but they left all the doors open, and this is admittedly not the host's fault, but they try to extort me, and then Airbnb delists us, and this is happening over and over again. It's more and more aggressive, and it's all pointing towards one very important thing that Airbnb's doing. And this is what I figured out, is that Airbnb no longer wants to be just in the vacation rental business. Airbnb's big, $12 billion of revenue last year. That's when you add in to understand the size of this, really that's like $100 billion of actual stays. And when somebody comes and stays, they also have their activities, their airfare, their car rental, their restaurants. So this is really usually about a 3x of that. So Airbnb is moving around $300 billion in the world. And that's pretty major. That's like 10 times the GDP of El Salvador. That's the GDP of Egypt. But that's not enough for Airbnb. Airbnb sees a play that they can do. The hotel industry is much bigger. Anybody know how big that is? That's a 1.6 trillion per year. And so Airbnb, I have it on good authority, and all signs are pointing towards this. Who knows if they're actually going to succeed at it? But all facts indicate that they are going to try to 100x their company and drag all of us hosts, kicking and screaming, into a brave new world of being hoteliers. This is scary, because what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to beat people into submission with helping make sure that they give massive discounts, because he wants that quote. He wants the host to take discounts. He wants us to lower our profits. And they want to, in my belief, what they're looking for is to be more aggressive than any local laws and regulatories for safety and security, so that they can compete on every level with hotels and just take over that industry. And this is important to understand, because if you have, this is going to favor people that have low cost of capital. It's going to favor people that can scale and reduce their operational expenses. And they're shaking the tree, and a lot of people are going to fall off. And so I have the solution that I have, first of all, is when you have a judge and jury that's a VA in the Philippines that's presiding over your, maybe $1 million of revenue that you brought Airbnb last year, never let it go to the judges like any good fist fight. Let's see here. I can't get it to go. There we go. Never let it go to the judges. Well, you guys saw it for a second. Never let it go to the judges. Oh man, it was so quick. Well, but the real solution is a branded niche. And for us, our branded niche is we do luxury vacation rentals, mostly for bachelorette parties and actually even more than that, bachelor parties. And we have a core promise that we can deliver on. Guys come, they want a beautiful place that they can house all of their buddies, have maybe hopefully a quiet party, but we'll tell them where to go. They can really party, and we show them where the strip clubs are and things like that, and tons of adventures. But ultimately, the solution is to have a branded niche that you are supplying to your base. And when you do that, you can step away from Airbnb, and you can have your guests will actually be your biggest marketing arm. And this is just one thing that we figured out, and we do it really well, hopefully better than anybody. But I also want to offer, and I'm not selling anything, I don't have anything to sell, just some valuable resources. You guys can be in our chat, the Dillon's Deal Room. We're going to be doing something after this. When this ends at 12, we'll be up there. Where are we going to be, Venza? My wife, Venza? The Sip Lounge, right here. We're going to be at the Sip Lounge, and these are some of the topics that we're going to be covering. And Dillon's Deal Room is, and including branding and how to get through all these challenges with Airbnb. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Daven. Thank you, Lou.